Hello everybody, I'm going to show you how to shoot video with a Nikon D7000 camera. It's going to be real simplistic just to show you some of the basics. Let's start off by putting things in manual mode. Now up at the front down here there's a switch that says autofocus and manual, if you can see right there. And we've switched that from autofocus to manual, so now that's in manual mode. Forgive my lighting, I don't have the best lighting in here. On your lens may also have a switch that tells whether it'll be an auto focus or manual. This one does not have that switch. On some older lenses for the Nikons, you need to make sure that, if you can see in here, the very top has to be at 22 f-stop so that the Nikon camera can actually take over the exposure as opposed to setting it yourself. So if you're having some errors, then you need to make sure that those two 22s are lined up at the very top of the camera right there. On the back of the camera there is up here there's another manual mode, so we're going to set our shooting mode dial to M for manual. And then we're going to turn on our camera right up here. And so we're going to have a little switch. Boop. Oop, I just shut it off. And we turn on our camera. Now on the back of the camera there is this LV button right here, and it is a toggle switch. And what we're going to do is we're going to press that way, and it turns on LV. LV stands for live mode. Okay, so you can see what's going on live in the back of the camera. Let's go up to the menu real quick. I press menu, and there's a list of settings over here on the left side. I'm going to go to the second one down. This is called the shooting menu. In the shooting menu, if I use this little guy over here to toggle up and down, I'm going to go, let me take us to the top menu first. When you first go into shooting menu, it starts off on this menu right here. The reset shooting menu is at the very top. Some things you want to take a look at. Image quality should be set to normal. Image size large. Most of this stuff is for, not for really for the movie shooting, but for the camera itself. White balance, we're going to set the white balance to auto, so if it's not to auto, click OK. If you do go in white balance, there's all these amazing different white balance presets that you could use. For our purposes, we're just going to stick with auto, so I hit OK and select auto. 1 is fine. And then get out of this. And then picture control, set picture control. I'm going to hit OK. That should just probably be set to neutral or standard. Neutral means it's not going to do anything to the image because we want to manipulate the image in our editing system. So set picture control should just be to neutral. Manage picture control. We're going to scroll down to our third window. So 3 windows down in this menu. We're going to go down to where it says movie settings. So I click my button OK for movie settings, and in here there's an option for movie quality. Movie quality here, I'm going to click that. There's a list of movie qualities here that you can pick from. The highest one that these cameras do are 1920 by 1080 at 24 frames per second, high quality. They don't go up to 30 or 60 or 120, just 24. So we're going to hit OK for our highest quality. And then for destination, that's what card you're going to send it to. So on the side of the camera, there's a little flip out door, and there's a spot for 2 SD cards. SD card 1 up here and SD card 2 down here. Mine is set to go to SD card 1. You want to make sure that you have at least a 16 gigabyte or 32 gigabyte card so that you can get some good record time. I got out of the menu it timed out of the menu, so I just pressed menu again, and I'm going to go back into movie settings. Manual movie settings, this is interesting, this is kind of ironic. Manual movie settings need to be set to off. I'm not sure why that is, but if you set it to on, then it's no longer manual, so I'm not really sure why that happens. So make sure your manual movie settings is set to off. I'm going to click menu and get back out of there. Here we have our screen. This is our live screen. Down at the bottom we have several very important aspects to a camera. We have our shutter speed here, which says 160. We have our f-stop right here. That's our exposure measurement in f-stop. And then over here we have our ISO settings. So let's take a look first at the shutter speed. The shutter speed is down here. This says 1/6 or 1/60th of a second is how quickly it'll take an image. Now, if we want to change that, then this thumb dial right here on the back will change that setting down there. The higher the number, it's going to get darker and darker, and it takes the pictures faster and faster. So on a high shutter speed setting, I know that the exposure is pretty bright just so you can see it. On a high shutter speed setting, as you can see, my exposure is pretty bright, but things that move are very jittery and crisp and things like that. As you go lower, things start to be a little bit more blurry, like that. And so typically we're going to do a shutter speed that is double what our frame rate is. Previously our frame rate we set to 24, so double that is 48. We're going to put that around 50 because that's pretty close to 48. So right now our shutter speed is set to 50. Our f-stop is how much light is let into the camera through the aperture. And to change the f-stop, that is the front dial right here. So as I change the front dial, it changes our f-stop number. The smaller the f-stop number, the more light is going to come into the camera and the brighter it will be. The larger the f-stop number, the less amount of light is going to come in the camera. Now I'm looking at a whiteboard right now, so you're not going to really see any changes at all, actually. So I'm going to set my f-stop. I'm going to just set it by 3.2. Okay, so that's not going to let in a whole lot of light, which could be fine for your settings. Then over here we have our ISO. ISO is really important because it determines how bright and how dark the image is as well. But what happens is the smaller the number means the higher the quality image, but yet the darker it'll be. So if I go over here, there says an ISO button right here. I'm going to press that, and when I press that, it highlights right there. As I hold that button down and dial this dial up here, it will change my ISO. The higher the ISO, the brighter it's going to be, but the grainier and nastier it's going to look. So you really don't want to go above 1600 if you can help it. Ideally, you should be shooting at, if you can, shoot at an ISO 100. That's going to be darker, but it's going to have a lot higher quality image. In most cases, most cameras shoot pretty good between 200 and 800 ISO, depending on the quality of the lens in the camera and the f-stop of the camera. Okay, so now to record an image, right here there is a little red dot on a button. If we press that one time, it begins to record right there, and it will record for up to 20 minutes without stopping. And then to stop it, we press that button again and it stops recording. If we press over here, we can hit playback, and then this goes to our most recent clip, and then if you hit OK, it will play back your amazing clip. And it will record for up to 20 minutes without. So just to recap, we've set everything to manual up here. And then we've gone through our settings and set our settings. We've gone to the shooting mode dial, gone down to the third window down to movie settings right here. And then we have set that to manual movie settings are set to off. We change our, we've switched to live view, which is right here, this switch right here. This is our shutter speed right here. 1/50, which is double what our frame rate of 24 is, so that should be decent. This is our f-stop. The shutter speed is controlled by this dial right here. The f-stop right here, how much light comes into the camera, is controlled by this dial right here. And the other brightness controlled ISO is right here, and you actually have to hold down the ISO button and then dial the dial, and that adjusts your ISO. Hey, thanks a lot. Hope that helps. And have fun making movies and living the dream.